Good morning. Welcome to the third and final webinar of the JumpStart KeyBank Mastering Your Money series. Today with Cameron Mort and Leah Soto from KeyBank. Today they will be talking to you about budgeting and use of funds for business owners. I'm Lauren Smith-Petta and I serve as JumpStart's Director of Education. JumpStart strives to provide you with access to the knowledge and resources you need to make your small business bigger and better. Visit our website to explore some of our educational opportunities for small businesses and tech companies alike. Before I introduce our presenters today, a few housekeeping items. This presentation session will be 60 to 90 minutes with time set aside for Q&A. Our presenters may ask you to participate throughout, so please place your comments in the chat feature. Please make sure your responses are going to everyone, not just hosts and panelists. You may need to make this change in the chat feature. You can also see the Q&A, which is a great place to put your questions as they occur to you to make sure that they are addressed at the end. At the end of today's session and in a follow-up email, you'll receive a brief survey. We always appreciate your feedback. It allows us to continue to offer series like this and bring in experts and entrepreneurs to teach valuable lessons. All right, without further ado, allow me to introduce our presenting subject matter experts today. Cameron Mort, a Cincinnati native, began her career with KeyBank nearly 4 years ago after graduating from The Ohio State University. She first joined Key's Consumer Bank Analyst program before transitioning into her current role, where she supports the strategy and execution of the community banking team. Growing up in a family of entrepreneurs, Cameron is passionate about empowering small businesses with the financial tools they need to succeed. Leah Soto is an experienced banking professional with 10 years in the financial industry, including 3 years with KeyBank. As a branch manager for the Cleveland East area, she is passionate about helping individuals and small businesses achieve financial confidence. Outside of work, Leah enjoys hiking, traveling, cooking, and exploring Mexican cuisine. She is also a dedicated parent of 4, with her youngest about to graduate high school. Congratulations, Leah. Cameron and Leah, over to you and welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We are both really excited to be here. Before we get started, I'd love for you all to introduce yourself in the chat. You can introduce your business as well and where you're calling in from. So as Lauren mentioned, I am Cameron and I will be your first presenter today. Although I am from Cincinnati, I'm actually calling in from Chicago. And I actually have 2 cats in the background, so apologies if you see any distractions, but let's go ahead and learn a little bit more about some topics we will cover today. So in our last 2 workshops, we learned all about credit scores, credit reports, and debt management. Today, we're going to continue building on that knowledge and learn the basics of budgeting. We're going to explore the importance of creating and maintaining a budget, examine the differences between wants and needs, and set goals for spending, saving, and debt management. Before we jump in, let's take a quick pre-assessment designed to gauge your knowledge prior to the workshop. Feel free to write your answers and share them in the chat. So question 1, what is a budget? And question 2, which of the following are examples of documents you should keep organized as you begin to create a budget? So I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to put your answers in the chat.
I think we're a little shy this morning.
Need another cup of coffee, anyone?
All right, here we go.
Yeah. Okay, I see some B's.
Yeah. B and B.
Okay, awesome. So great job. I think everyone got it right. For what is a budget is a financial roadmap or a way to plan and track for your earnings, spendings, and savings. And number 2, the answer is B. Some examples of documents that you should help create a budget will be tax returns, W-2s, bills, and loan documents. So jumping into questions 3 and 4, which of the following should be included when calculating income? And question 4, approximately what percentage of your income should you spend on saving and debt? start to see some answers in the chat.
There we go.
Okay, awesome. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with guessing as well if you don't know the right answer. So no worries if you guys aren't sure. But let's go ahead and review the answers. For question 3, which of the following should be included when calculating income? It is any money earned from almost any source, such as a paycheck, Social Security, or other benefits. And question 4, 20% of your income should be spent on savings and debt. So, the last set of questions, which of the following is an example of a long-term financial goal? And question 6, which of the following is a strategy recommended to pay off debt? So Tyree, I see they're calling in from Virginia, and Quran calling in from Canton, Ohio. And I love that you put your company in there, Nest Egg Roofing Company. That's awesome. Welcome, everyone. Awesome. Great job, guys. See, everyone, I think, also got these right. Saving up for a down payment is also an example of a long-term financial goal. And for question 6, which of the following is a strategy recommended to pay off debt? It's actually both B and C. And we will learn about these a little bit later, but one of them is paying down debts in order from highest interest rate to lowest. Oops, sorry, didn't highlight the screen. And the second option is paying down debts in order from lowest balance to highest. So let's jump into the workshop. And also welcome Rita from Akron. In this workshop, we will learn about budgeting using scenarios with a character named Marta. Marta is 40 years old and she works 2 jobs to make ends meet. During the week, she works as a grocery store cashier, and on the weekends, she works as a hostess in a restaurant. Marta makes about $2,000 a month and sometimes feels overwhelmed by her finances, which I think a lot of us can. She just doesn't seem to get ahead or pay off her credit cards in full. She has some short-term and long-term financial goals too. She dreams of taking a vacation next year and eventually buying her own home. Let's see how we can help Marta. So as we said, Marta feels frustrated because she feels like it's hard to get ahead with her finances. How do you guys think Marta can get ahead? Should she make a financial plan, make a budget, have a savings, live within her means, or reduce her debt? Hi, Sonia, welcome from Cleveland. But yeah, feel free to drop in the chat what you all think is what Marta should do. Definitely see some good answers here. So yeah, all of them. So great job. All of these things can definitely help Marta. And today we're going to help her get started with budgeting. So we quickly mentioned earlier that Marta has a net income of $2,000 a month. But what does that really mean? Gross income refers to the amount of money you earned before taxes or deductibles are taken out. Net income is also called take-home pay, or the money that you get in your paycheck. So when we say Marta makes $2,000 net income, that means that's the amount that she makes after taxes. We will use this figure later in the workshop when we help her create a budget. But first, let's learn about the benefits of budgeting. So budgeting is a process of creating a plan for how you spend your money. It helps in 3 main ways. Number 1, it helps you live within your means. A budget gives you a clear picture of where your money is going. By tracking your expenses, you can identify areas where you might be overspending and make adjustments to improve your financial habits. Number 2, it can also help you pay off debt. Reviewing your budget allows you to create a plan for reducing debt. It helps you stay on track with payments and develop a strategy to become debt-free. And last but not least, it helps you save for the future and for emergencies. Budgeting Budgeting enables you to set aside money for your financial goals and unexpected expenses. Whether it's a car repair or a medical emergency, having a fund means that you won't have to rely on credit cards to cover surprise costs. Let's learn a little bit more about Marta's wants and needs. The first step that we can do to help Marta is keep track of her current spending, so you can see where her money is going. She makes a list of her monthly expenses, and you can see some of those categories on this screen. Which of the following do you think is a need, and which do you think is a want? So feel free to take a second, read it over, and drop in the chat which is a want and which is a need. Personally, some of them, I know coffee is probably considered a want, but some of us, it might be a need. So I'm just kidding. You guys can definitely drop them in one at a time as well. What if we start with groceries? Is that a want or a need? Yeah, definitely a need. So yeah, needs include groceries, car insurance, internet, car payment, transportation, health insurance, and utilities. Yep, you guys definitely get that. And wants include coffee, restaurants, entertainment, and the salon. Let's see where Marta can maybe cut some of these expenses. By figuring out how much her wants and needs cost each month, like we can see where she can free up some funds. As you can see from some of the figures, Marta's total wants are about $330 a month, while her needs are approximately $1,485 a month. Based on this information, do you think Marta is living within her means? Glad it's definitely a good answer. And I definitely agree that, especially with rent prices these days, $2,000, it's not going to cover all needs, I guess I should say. But yeah, definitely for this workshop, I know that we're using a smaller budget. But yeah, life definitely needs to be enjoyment as well. So yes, based on these figures, it does appear that Marta is living within her means, given that the total is under $2,000 a month. However, she hasn't accounted for paying down debt, which we will discuss later in this workshop. Even though Marta is technically living within her means, there are still some places where Marta can make some changes to save money. Let's look at a few expenses again. This time, think about Marta's wants and needs and what items could be cut. Go ahead and put your ideas in the chat. So for example, she could reduce spending on her wants, including restaurants, by maybe picking up food instead of getting it delivered every time, or cutting down coffee from $40 a month to $20 a month. So those are just some examples. Where else do you guys see that she can reduce or cut expenses? Great point, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, clothing definitely does not need to be purchased every month, but obviously if you need a winter coat, personally, I think it's almost 0 degrees here in Chicago. So I did actually buy a new coat for this winter, which definitely was a need, but there are also ways that We can reduce those expenses by also buying like secondhand or going thrifting, which I know is something that is definitely a trend right now, but also financially and sustainably good for everyone as well. So Marta could reduce spending on her wants, including coffee, restaurants, salons, and clothing. She could also try and lower her needs by finding a cheaper apartment or trading in her car for a lower price. The key is to balance out your spending so you have room in your budget for your wants. What else can Marta do to save some money? She can weigh and prioritize what she wants to spend her money on each month. She can use strategies to cut down on these spending so her budget has more room for her wants. In this next section, let's go over some things that Marta can do to free up some funds. Like Marta, we can all save money on wants by using some of these strategies to free up some funds. Here are some of those strategies. Number 1, you can cut expenses. The first thing you can do to free up funds is to find places where you can cut your expenses. Take a look at your wants and how much you are spending on things like eating out and making small changes and cut where you can. Number 2, reduce spending. Take a look at your other expenses or needs. Can you reduce your grocery bill by meal planning or shopping at a discounted grocery store? Have you considered cutting coupons? Those things that I personally love. Big fan of Aldi. And number 3, price shopping for services. Consider finding a better deal on car insurance rates by shopping around or changing health insurance plans so you have a lower monthly payment and a higher deductible. Number 4, think about your current employment status, your skill set, and the job market. Are you in the position to earn a raise? Would you be in a better financial position working somewhere else? Is there something that you could do to increase your marketability, like taking a class or a new skill? And number 5, consider freelance or gig work. If you are just looking for some supplemental income in addition to your current job, consider taking a gig work in your field, or in a job that you are qualified to work in to free up funds. Marta decided to reduce her spending and consider looking for a new job opportunity where she could make a little more money each month. Next, let's look at some of Marta's debts. Marta has been paying off the minimum balance on her credit cards for a while, but hasn't been able to pay them off in full. She wants to live within her means and not utilize credit cards to supplement her income. Let's look at 2 popular strategies that Marta can use to pay off this debt. I know that we went over this a little bit last week, but as a recap, the avalanche method focuses on paying off debts that have the highest interest rate first, while still paying the minimum balance on the rest of your debts. The theory here is that high interest rate debt will end up costing you more in the long run, so it's good to pay these debts off as quickly as possible. The snowball method focuses on paying off the debt with the lowest balances first, while still paying the minimum amount due on the rest of your debts. The thinking here is that you can pay off the lower balances quicker than the high balances, giving you more motivation to complete the process. So a few quick questions for you all. Question 1, using the avalanche method, which debt would Marta work to pay off first? So we have the credit card A, which has a balance of $400 and an interest rate of 23%. Credit card B, a balance of $300 and an interest rate of 18%, and a personal loan of $7,000 and an interest rate of 12%. Yep. You definitely got some right answers in the chat. The correct answer is credit card A. The avalanche method recommends that you pay off the debt with the highest interest rate first, and that would be credit card A. After that is paid, then you would move on to credit card B. Now jumping into the snowball method, which debt would Marta pay off first? Yep, so the correct answer is B here. The snowball method recommends that you would pay off the debt with the lowest balance first. And in this example, that would be credit card B. After that is paid, then you would move on to credit card A. I'm now going to pass it over to Leah to review how to set financial goals.
All right. So Marta is learning how to figure out her wants and needs, cut her expenses to save money, and to work on paying down her debts. But she also has some financial dreams. So let's see how Marta can turn those dreams into financial goals. Changing money habits can be challenging. One way to make changes easier and more lasting is to set personal and meaningful goals to motivate you. Financial goals are personal goals you set for yourself about how you will save and spend your money. There are 3 types of financial goals that you can set. So you have short-term goals that can be accomplished within a few months or up to 2 years. You have medium-term goals that can be accomplished in 2 to 5 years. And then you have long-term goals. Those can be accomplished in about, more than 5 years. For Marta, her goals include the following. She has her short-term goals. She is saving for a wedding present, buying a new phone, and paying off some credit cards. Her medium-term goals is to pay off student loans, buy a new computer, and take a vacation. Her long-term goal is to save for a down payment on a house and to buy a new car. So setting financial goals can be exciting if you think about to think about. So now you'll be creating your own financial goals. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to set a timer for about 3 minutes. So what I want you to do, and you can type this in the chat if you'd like, or write this. Actually, I want you to write this down on a piece of paper if you don't have the participant guide, is write down your short, medium, and long-term goals. You're going to write them down on your piece of paper and make sure you list specific examples and estimate how much each of your goals will cost. I'll bring you back after about 2 to 3 minutes, so that way you can kind of think about it and then write it down, okay? And then we'll come back in about 3 minutes. So I'll go ahead and let you do that now. Okay, give you about 1 more minute. Thank you. All right. And 3 minutes is up. How many of you had retirement as a goal? Right? That's a good goal to have. Retirement should be on everybody's list. Who else wants to share one of their goals?
I see some other ones in the question and answer. So one is paying off $300 credit, and then another one is save $500. I'm assuming for like an emergency fund, and then save for a new car. So both of those are great goals as well.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Now, do you feel confident that you can achieve your goals? That these goals are achievable or even realistic? Good. So yeah, when you see your goals written down, you know, you're definitely one step closer to making your goals into reality. Having financial goals can help you plan by adjusting some of your current spending and saving habits. Saving can be challenging, but it will be worth it in the end to see once you reach those goals. So now that we have an idea of what Marta spends her money on, her debts and her financial goals, we can introduce some guidelines on how to help her create her budget and how you can create your budget. All right. Today we're going to focus on the 50-30-20 rule and the categories method of budgeting. While there are two different methods, each has helpful strategies to help you make a budget. So let's learn a little bit more on those. We can go, there we go. The 50-30-20 rule is a budgeting rule designed to be easy to follow without using a lot of numbers. The rule works by dividing up your after-tax income and recommending that you spend no more than 50% of your income on needs, no more than 30% on wants, and at least 20% on savings and on debt repayment. So let's use this method to look at Marta's financial situation and figure out how to use this method to see if it works for her. Marta takes home $2,000 after taxes. According to the 50-30-20 rule, how much money should Marta spend on her needs, wants, and savings? You can type that into the chat. How much do you think she should separate those in? Okay, Shelley, thank you. You can still type in the chat if you'd like. Like if you were to break that down, how much out of the 2,000 do you think she should put in the 50-30-20? 400 in savings, very good. 1,000 equals savings and debt. Very good. 30%, 600. Very good. I see some pretty good answers in there. So needs definitely, so 50% of 2,000 is 1,000. Wants is 600. Savings is 400. So let's take a look at those numbers in the 50, 30, 20 rule for Marta. Okay, as you can see, these numbers look a little bit different from before. Okay, you will now see how some of Marta's expenses have been cut down after she took the time to make some of those cuts in her budget. So let's take a moment to look at these numbers. They're a lot different. So Marta should spend no more than 50% or $1,000 on her needs using that rule. However, she currently is spending, she's still spending $1,140 on her needs, even after making the cuts. Some additional cuts Marta could make, including moving somewhere with low rent, considering alternative grocery options to reduce costs, exploring using public transportation or carpooling, trading in her car for an older model, or shopping around for less expensive car insurance could also help. Let's look at Marta's at her wants. Previously, she was spending $330 on her wants. This is still below the threshold of 30% or the $600, which is good. However, by making some cuts to her expenses, Marta now only spends $210 on her wants, which means she can consider using that extra money to save more each month towards her financial goals or to pay more on her debts, which is really good. At least 20% of her $400 of Marta's income should go towards debt payment and savings. She is currently hitting this target by making $300 in debt payments, and she can add an additional $100 into savings each month. As you can see, the 50-30-20 rule may identify some areas where you should reduce spending, but it can also help you find additional money in your budget to put towards savings and debt repayment goals. Sometimes it doesn't work out perfectly, as in Marta's case, since she pays more than $1,000 in her needs. But there is another budget strategy that we'll discuss next. It is the categories method. The categories method is a more detailed breakdown of percentages and categories, and it allocates income according to the need of a person or household. By thinking about the specific categories you spend money on each month, you can kind of predict how much money income will be left over for savings and making adjustments to meet your goals. On the screen, you will see a categories budget example, which has 30% allocated for the household. You have about 10% for categories such as utilities, groceries, transportation, etc., and about 5% of your categories for dining out, car insurance, clothing, and entertainment, and other miscellaneous auto expenses. So let's look at Marta's expenses again and see how the categories method works for her. So let's take a look at this categories and see how it's worked with the updated figures with the potential cuts. You can see how they've changed a lot. These categories can be easily adjusted to suit your personal needs. For example, you may have childcare, education expenses, or you may not have any debt at all, which would be nice, right? Your numbers will probably be a little different, which is okay. You can always set the guidelines and categories to fit your situation. There's definitely no one size fits all strategy for budgeting. So feel free to find the budgeting solution that works best for you. Next, we are going to talk a little about how we can increase our savings over time. So it can be challenging to remember to save money over time. Remember that with saving, any progress is good progress. You don't need to set aside a huge sum of money all at once. Savings works best when you plan for it and then take steps towards your financial goals. Here are some strategies you can use to save more money each month. Make a habit of saving. So decide on an amount you'll save each month and stick to it. So you get used to putting that money into savings. Use automatic savings. An automatic savings plan is a type of savings account where money is automatically transferred into savings at a certain time each month. This can help ensure that you meet your savings goals each month. I have mine, actually, it's direct deposit, comes right out of my check, out of sight, out of mind, goes right into my account. So that way you don't even have to look at it. You get with your employer and you just kind of set it out there. And then just limit your spending. Of course, that's easier said than done. Spending less can make your savings goals a lot easier. So try to cut back a little when you can. So today we covered many steps, tools, strategies, and behaviors that can positively affect your personal finances if used regularly. I encourage you to make the time to use these tools to improve and maintain your finances. Improving your personal financial situation is achievable with thoughtful attention, regular maintenance, and improved habits. There are many tools you can use to make a budget. And of course, we are all here to help you do that if you need. Remember that there are a lot of strategies for budgeting, but the important thing is that you use one to manage your spending, savings, and debt repayment. When approaching your debt repayment, consider strategies like the avalanche method or the snowball method to help you. Setting personal, meaningful goals helps you to stay motivated and on track in both the short term and the long term. Regular check-ins and seeking help from professionals in additional ways to become more informed and aware of your financial situation and options. So now let's do a quick post-workshop assessment to test what we've gone over today. So what is, and you can put your answers in the chat, kind of what we did in the beginning. What is the benefit of using a budget? And what is the first step of creating a budget? Okay, I've got one answer. Okay, I've got some answers coming through. Very good. All right, you want to go ahead and show them what the answers are? What is the benefit of using a budget? I've got A is a budget can help you identify ways to reduce your spending and or increase your savings. And what is the first step of creating a budget? Get organized. Being organized is super, super important. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll go and I'll sit down, get my coffee, lay everything out, write everything down. Sometimes you just need a clear picture and to see everything. So, all right, our next questions 3 and 4. So which of the following documents could be used to track income? And question number 4, according to the 50-30-20 rule, how much should you spend on each category? All right, I've got a few questions coming through. Very good. All right, you want to show them the answers? All right, question 3 is both B and C, W-2 forms and pay stubs. And then question 4, 50% on needs, 30 on wants, 20 on savings and debts. Very good. All right. And then question 5, which of the following is an example of a short-term financial goal? Question 6, which of the following describes the snowball method of debt repayment? Some answers coming through. And see, all right, go ahead and give them the answers. We got question 5, save up money for a new phone. Is a good one. And then question 6, pay down debts in order from lowest balance to highest. Very good. Awesome, awesome.
I know that this is the time that we have set for the Q&A.
Yeah.
I don't think we have any questions right now, but I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to take a few moments and ask your questions either in the chat or the separate like Q&A chat, I guess. So yeah, feel free to take a few moments and ask your questions, and Leah and I will be available to answer some of those for you. While you guys are thinking of questions, I did just want to talk about our personal financial wellness clinic at JumpStart. So this is happening on the 26th, so a week from today, and it's at JumpStart's brand new office. And you'll be able to get a 20-minute personal financial wellness review. So an experienced banker will help you see where your finances stand and show you how to reach your financial goals. So feel free to use the QR code below on the screen. I'll also drop it in the chat here. So that's specifically for the date on the 26th. We have a ton of appointments available. But if that time does not work for you, or you would like to schedule an appointment at your local KeyBank branch, or feel free to, I mean, this is for everyone and we just want to help out. So I also just wanted to give the opportunity and put our normal appointment scheduler in the chat as well, if that works better for you. But yeah, feel free to ask us questions. We're available, and our information will also be sent out in the email afterwards. So
and even if you don't bank with Key either, like we're passionate about just being able to help you get like some peace of mind, or just getting started with like budgeting, or just writing everything down so that way you have a full picture, because sometimes it is kind of hard to just get started, so
Yeah.
that way you know where you stand. So it is kind of nice to just have someone sit down and kind of just like, okay, help me figure out, just to get a good look.
And I saw someone mentioned a question. They needed the participant guide. That will be sent out with the webinar recording after this presentation.
Yeah.
So we
Hi,
will
Ray.
get that to you. Sorry, go ahead.
Hi, Ray. I see that. Definitely schedule an appointment with someone. They would, I mean, a close banker, they would be happy to sit down, go over everything. I mean, everything, and go and help you set up a budget. They'd absolutely be happy to do that with you. So
Yeah.
definitely connect with someone.
And I think really why we wanted to focus on these personal finance topics today in the last few weeks is because your personal finances can definitely impact your business finances. And I know information kind of definitely goes both ways with having a business budget as well. So I did want to mention, like, I know that these are personal financial topics, but you can also, in that second appointment link, schedule like a small business wellness review, which will discuss like your cash flow and like just different ways that we can support you in your business, because that's what we're here to do, is help you in your business thrive, personally and professionally.
Yes, because your personal does affect the small. So like if you're starting off as a new business, your personal stuff does affect your business a lot.
Finances,
a lot more than you really do think. So, because we will check your personal credit, and that can, I mean, if your personal credit isn't where it needs to be, it can unfortunately get you declined for certain business products. So we want to make sure that we help you on your personal side, so that way you can flourish in your business. So
great. Any
Amazing.
other questions?
I don't see any questions. Is there a way that folks could reach the two of you if they had questions for you specifically, or do you want to refer them to the clinic?
No, we would absolutely love to. I think we mentioned we'll give our emails and whatnot in the follow-up email.
Yep, absolutely. You can email whenever they like, and we can schedule. I mean, I can meet them where they're at even. So.
And do they need to be a current KeyBank client?
No, great question.
Nope.
No,
not at all. And it's free. Yeah, exactly. We do not charge to help do this. This is something.
There's no obligation to open a checking account or any product.
Nope. We're just here to help. Yep.
Amazing. So the difference between listening and learning is action. And so I really, really encourage the attendees today to have this 20-minute, zero risk, no strings attached chat with somebody to sort of go over. We've covered a lot in the last few weeks, and I know some of you have come to all or most of the sessions. So the best way to really do something with what you've learned is get a little bit of personalized guidance and take some action. So I really hope that this series has been helpful to you. Cameron and Leah, thank you so much for such a wonderful session today. I hope that we will see some of you sign up for the one-on-ones next week. As Cameron said, at the end of today's session, in a follow-up email, you'll receive the participant packet, you'll receive the recording, and you'll also receive a brief survey. We appreciate your feedback. It allows us to continue to partner with wonderful organizations like KeyBank and bring in experts to teach valuable lessons. So thank you, everybody. Again, thank you, KeyBank. Thank you to our participants and attendees, and we hope to see you in person next week.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.